Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Encourager, and just a brief study in the book of Daniel, chapter 4 to be specific. I know I did a previous video. I'm actually going through the book of Daniel, and I think a few weeks ago I did Daniel chapter 1 through 3, and I'm going to try and link that to this if I remember. I'm in chapter 4 in the book of Daniel, and I'm encouraging you to jump in the book of Daniel. It's a pretty interesting and relevant for the times that we're in. So I'm not going to read the chapter to you at all. I do encourage you to do so. I may pull a verse here and there as I speak, but this is a very short study. And the study is to provoke your thinking. And as you read, you will get understanding, and you'll be able to come to a conclusion as to what is happening and where we are. So in Daniel chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar the king is speaking unto all the people, nations, and language that dwell on the earth. Verse 1 this is, and he speaks and he says, I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God has wrought towards me. And then he goes on to say, how great are his signs, how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. Now, in chapter 4, King Nebuchadnezzar, he had a dream, and in this study, I am reminded of the preacher in Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9, to be specific, where what that verse is saying is there's nothing new under the sun. Like what God has done before, he will do it again. So there are no surprises. There are surprises if we are not paying attention. That in that respect, people will be surprised, but there really are no surprises if you are going through the instruction manual. Our actions are first birthed in the spirit, and I believe this is where I stopped off in when I did verses 1 through 3 a few weeks ago, saying that our actions are first birthed in the spirit before it is manifested through the physical. So in going through chapter 4, when I can't help but wonder, are we repeating that which was done in ancient Babylon? Man's kingdom. And are we at the toes of iron and clay as was seen in Nebuchadnezzar's dream? This present day, the kingdom of God, however, is an everlasting kingdom, and it is from generation to generation. So observe the things that are happening in our world, and I can't help but think of Mystery Babylon. And as I read Nebuchadnezzar's dream, I'm wondering, hasn't this country, Mystery Babylon, grown, and its height thereof is so great, and are they not known throughout the entire world? Mystery Babylon. It is a country, Mystery Babylon. Now, as we scroll down in Daniel chapter 4, verse 17, it talks about a watcher or watchers You know, sorry, not Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar saw a watcher, a holy watcher. It says, whereas, verse 23, and whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one coming down from heaven. There's nothing hid or hidden from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Lest we forget, there is a watcher. The Most High rules from generation to generation in the kingdom of men. And perhaps some men don't realize that, like the kings of the world, perhaps they don't realize that, or they choose not to. They think their actions are solely their own input, not realizing that God allows certain things. You see, the Lord, he lifts high and he brings low. It is he that reigns and rules in the heart of men. Only him. Our trust should only be in the one that is from generation to generation, the great I am, the Alpha and the Omega, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He reigns and he reveals all through his begotten Son, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. As you read, keep your eyes on Mystery Babylon. When you read, you will understand which country Mystery Babylon is. And as you're keeping your eyes on Mystery Babylon, watch the seats of power. Watch to see the change of seats. It's like a chess playing game, you know, they change seats. You know, the kingdom of man. Is this kingdom broken? The kingdom of men? Read through the book of Daniel and see if you can align things up as to what we're seeing today. You see, God's decrees and prophecies, they must be fulfilled, and they're going to be fulfilled through men. It has to be, because the Bible is about men. Know for a surety that the heavens rule. You may think, oh, where is God? You may presume or assume that he is silent. And you may be wondering all the things that are happening, but God's decrees and prophecies must be fulfilled, and know for a surety that the heavens do rule. God is. So I do trust that this small study is able to stimulate you to read, to jump into the instruction manual, because it is. And in conclusion to what I've received from Daniel chapter 4, it is to be known that God is the revealer of all things. He gives understanding, and he does according to his will. And his will does involve us, because he desires goodness for us. He has the final say. He has the final word among all, and his judgment is just. We ought to be reminded that those who walk in pride, he's able to abase. Remember, his dominion is everlasting, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. Remember, you may think God is not working. You may think he doesn't exist. You may think he's sleeping. The heavens rule. The heavens rule. Daniel chapter 4. I encourage you to pick up the instruction manual and study.